Hello, my fellow patriots. This is Alex with Disabled Vets Perspective, and I have an incredibly special treat for you guys tonight. I have the exclusive, one and only interview with Pedro Barrios. He's an up and coming representative looking for a seat in the 105th District of Florida, and I am going to do all I can to help make that happen. And with your help getting the word out, introducing this man to you and let you guys see what he's about, we're hoping to keep Florida as red as possible and to bring in some good people to move us forward in our quest for dominance of this planet. But anyway, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Pedro Barrios. Hello, sir.
Hey,
How are you this?
how are you?
I
Everything
am
good?
outstanding. So we had a chance to meet up there in Virginia, which was pretty awesome. That was an
We did.
incredible event.
Two Floridians
Um,
up there, right?
yeah, I know, a long way to travel, but a very important mission, I believe.
A hundred
But
percent. We have
I want to
travel
I want
everywhere
to
around the
mention.
country to fight for our rights.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm going to try to do myself. I'm going to try to get more involved. The good patriots of my channel helped an awful lot to make that trip possible. We were able to do it with their help. It would have been very difficult without, but I do want to start getting more involved in the political programs that are going on around the country and get some good people to represent us in our legislatures. But
We do.
anyways, let me open it up. I want to give the floor to you. I want you to introduce yourself, tell the people what you're about, who you are, and what kind of food you like, the clothing you wear on weekends, whatever you want to tell them.
Well, I'm Pedro Barrios, and I'm running for state house here in Florida for District 105 as a conservative Republican, constitutional Republican, as I call it as well. And I'm 100%, ready for to be up there in Tallahassee. We gotta take down those liberals and those fake Republicans as well. We need good people, and we need to keep Florida red. And that's the most important thing right now. Keep Florida red, very red. So go ahead. I'm here for you.
All right, awesome. So let me just mention in my chat, my wife is working the chat board right now. So if you guys have a question, particularly that you would like to ask Mr. Pedro, please put it in the chat, and we will
Yes.
get to you. um, the the first question I wanted to ask you is uh, who are you running against? What seat are you looking to take?
So my seat is 105. That in District 105 down here. It's part of. It actually catches three counties: Dade County,
Okay.
Broward, and Collier. So because it goes A Street all the way across to Naples, to East Naples area. So it catches Sweetwater, West Doral, West Miramar, the Hammocks down in Kendall, and then it goes across A Street to Naples. There's a big district, mostly Everglades still. So I already got the Gators voting for me. That's said and done. I need to get the people to do the same. But
Right.
but no, the seat right now is Ana Maria Rodriguez. She's a Republican, but she's running for State House 39, and she has left the seat vacant. So it's up for grabs right now.
Okay. Are you primarying at this point against anybody else?
Yes, two other Republicans, one person that ran before, and another gentleman that is also running as a Republican. Yeah.
Okay. So
Hmm.
what we need to do is we need to bring you out on top. That's how we
Oh,
get
of
this
course,
done.
yeah, 100%. If you want a true conservative that's gonna fight for the people here in Florida, you need to. Because I'm not here to sell out like all those other Republicans. They go, not all, but most of them that say one thing and do another.
Right. Well, I like the fact that you first hit it with constitutional Republican.
Yeah,
I consider myself a constitutional patriot. My loyalty goes to beyond before there was a party system, but just to
that's
be a
right.
constitutional anything nowadays is it's a rare breed. So
No, it's
I especially like that. Um,
100%.
all right. So the first question I have here is in Florida, we have an issue with illegal immigration. Um, and as a disclaimer, my father is an immigrant, came through and did the thing the right way. And uh, my sisters are Japanese that were adopted in Japan, so they are also immigrants. So I love immigrants. I love people.
Of
I've
course.
lived all over the world. And but what I'm asking is, what do you feel about the e-verify system?
That's something that our governor is very pro e-verify, but
Right,
not a lot of our representatives are for that. But I'm for it. Why not? If you're gonna work here, we need to verify that you're legal and that you pay your taxes at the end of the year. That you're not just working, making a lot of money and not doing paying your taxes. So why not? Let's verify our workers. If it's not gonna
right,
cost as much to the business, because we don't want to harm any business at all with e-verify.
right.
So why not? Yeah.
Well, there
Sure.
the programs they have in place for the people that come here to pick fruit and stuff like that has worked well.
Mm.
Some companies have gone against that. Other companies have used it accordingly. But getting a work visa is it's another way to do things. And I lived in Turkey, and if I wanted to work in Turkey, then I would have to have applied for a work visa. No big deal. A little bit of paperwork, maybe a couple of dollars out of pocket. But I agree. The e-verify needs to be enforced, and worker programs need to be particularly built up a little bit. I think they need to be done, checked up on more, because
100%.
people need to do things legally, and I think that would work. So that question actually went right into the illegal immigration.
Hmm.
I was looking at your background, and your folks came from Cuba, and God bless them. I'm glad
Yeah. I was
they
born in
got out
Cuba.
of there. You were born in Cuba. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Okay,
I was
so
born in Cuba.
um,
So I know
you
what
to
communism and socialism is firsthand. Nobody can tell me
right,
anything about that. So yeah.
right. So I just go ahead and tell us a little bit about that part of your history, because I read your bio and I thought it was fascinating.
Well, yeah, my grandfather came to the U.S. in the 30s. He worked he in New York. He had his own iron factory, and he even built bullets for World War II for our soldiers back in World War II. So
Awesome.
he became a U.S. citizen back then. And then my father, as he was born, he also became a U.S. citizen. When I was born in Cuba, I was automatically a U.S. citizen, thanks to God and my grandfather for coming to this country. So, and that's pretty much, I lived in Cuba until I was 9, until they kicked us out, because that's literally what they did. They took everything from my family because we were above, the poverty line, because you have to be equally poor in all those countries that they say socialism and communism is the way, how Bernie Sanders
Yeah.
and all those crazy leftists think. And yeah, you're equally, but equally poor. Of course, yeah, everybody's equal. Everybody's equally begging for food and water. But that's what they want, and that's what they're brainwashing our children. But yeah, we came here to this country, and ever since I study here, got my master's here. So I'm very grateful, very, very grateful to this country.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I again, I love the fact that we have a diverse population. I wish that more people would come here like you, and instead of coming here and cussing at Americans and waving flags from other countries, I wish
Yeah.
they would embrace us as much as we're willing to embrace them for coming and helping our country become stronger. So that's just the way I
When
feel about it.
you come to this country, you have to adapt to what this country is. You can't just come in and try to put your laws and your culture before this country. You have to adapt to the culture of the country, and then obviously you can keep your culture, because that's what we do as Cubans. We still eat our
Right.
rice and beans. We're very proud to be Cubans as well, but we love this country because of how great it is. We celebrate every holiday of this country. So that's something that immigrants have to learn and have to do. If you come to this country, come, but love it. Love the full. experience, love the full country, love everything that it gives you. Not just, oh yeah, I'm here to work, make money, but only my flag is up, not the United States flag. No, you have to work both ways.
Well, that's awesome. Um, yeah, I lived in Japan as a kid, and I celebrated all of the Japanese festivals, and I participated in the culture of Japan. But yes, I also celebrated the American holidays with my family. And we did the same thing when we lived in Turkey. We celebrated all the Muslim holidays with the local people. We
Wow.
participated as if we were Turkish people, and they embraced us for that. But then when we were at home and we were doing our thing, we celebrated our own holidays and things too. But
Of
I'm
course.
thinking I might possibly end up being a slightly Cuban because I love rice and beans too. I don't know if that's connected or not, but yeah, I'm a major rice eater and I love the beans, so we always mix them up.
Oh yeah,
But
delicious.
all right, so here comes the big one. We're going to take a minute. We're going to talk about the Second Amendment.
Oh, I
Uh,
love my Second Amendment.
yeah, this is a lot of people are single subject voters, and the Second
Of
Amendment is one of the most important reasons to elect anybody in this
course.
country. What is your opinion on the constitutional carry that's being proposed?
The constitutional carry. Uh, which one is that? Is that
That's It was just proposed. I don't know the bill number right off the top of my head. It was proposed, I believe, for the 2020 session, and it's a basically right now we need a permit to carry concealed, and constitutional carry would allow you to carry without having to pay for a permission slip.
Yeah, I know the bill. It's just that I think it's called either firearms or license carry. One of those. Yeah, it's probably by either Mike Hill or Anthony Sabatini. One of those two state representatives. They're extremely conservative and extremely constitutional. And I'm 100% for that. They already put license for you. That's a way to the government making money, pretty much. They're
Right.
gonna make money because you want to own or carry a gun. You're gonna have to pay us to carry your gun concealed. When back in the day, or a couple of years, few years ago, you didn't need any license. So why do we need licenses now? They want to. I think they're passing a bill now that want to pass about you. If you want to buy ammunition, you have to get permission or you have to get a license to buy ammunition or a certain amount of ammunition here in Florida.
Yeah,
So
it's ridiculous how much we're
ridiculous.
being piled on, but Bloomberg money is coming in here too, which
Of
is a big.
course.
I think it should be criminal that another state representative buys out a local representative and manipulates another state's
Correct.
government from outside. I
Gave
think some
him
control needs to be put on that.
how much did he give? Like $500,000 to the
500,000.
GOP leader here in Florida, so he can vote
Right.
for
The one that doesn't.
for more red
Yeah,
flag
he's not
laws.
running again.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But
Yeah, so I just think that would be something to possibly look into also, that somehow there puts an end to foreign money or out of state money manipulating in state policy.
yeah, that should not be
States
allowed at
are
all.
divided. Yeah, so that's good. All right, the red flag law.
Ugh.
That is a pet
We're
peeve of
there.
mine.
There's actually a legislation right now to repeal the red flag laws, to take them all down, and hopefully it passes because it's ridiculous. The first month that it passed here in Central Florida, in a small town, they took about 400 and something guns in 1 month. For 400 and something guns in a small town. So you're telling me that 400 and so I forgot how many people were mentally unstable to hold their guns in one small town in Florida? That's ridiculous. I don't buy it. And every time that the cops have gone to to the judge, the judge is giving them the warrant to take the guns away, and the people are not getting the guns back at all.
Right.
There's a one-way street. So
Right. It's a
100%
backdoor gun grab.
Yes, it is.
Right now, the original first red flag law was up in, I believe it was Connecticut in 1999. And in that period of time, from 99 till today, they've had about 1,900 cases. And the majority of them, a high 80%, have been legal related, so criminally related. In Florida, there are over 2,500 cases now of removal of weapons, and only 30% are those are based on criminal activity. So that means 70% of the guns taken are from law-abiding, non-criminal Americans.
It's ridiculous. I posted something a couple of weeks ago, or saw something. I forgot if I actually posted it. That it was, they're pretty much implementing those laws even for kids. That if a kid threatens anybody at 9 years old, then later he will not be able to obtain a gun, or he will not be able to buy a gun when he gets older. It's that ridiculous. That's how ridiculous it's gotten. That they've implemented this laws to 9-year-olds that are saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go, shoot you, or I'm gonna kill you." That's how big it's gotten. So, yeah.
So if they're playing a game of cops and robbers, and somebody hears them say, "Bang bang, you're dead," and they get their guns taken away in the future, that's the kind of frivolous stuff. I can't see it. It's just, that's the kind of frivolous stuff that really wears me out. One thing would be to possibly look at the judges that are giving out these warrants.
Yeah.
What is it in there for them? Is there a monetary kickback somewhere that needs to be investigated? Right. But then also going downstairs to the bottom where the cops are that are enforcing these laws. How are they getting these police officers to move forward and enforce unconstitutional laws? The whole thing from top to bottom needs to be totally investigated.
Yeah, we have to see who's the chief of police in those, where it's happening, and how much money are they getting too, because maybe they're getting money as well. So it's just how you said, from top to bottom.
Yeah. So the corruption is another question. I mean, what I'm doing is I'm kind of leading from one end to another. Is there the potential of creating a almost like a special prosecutor team somehow implemented within the Florida legislature, that their sole purpose in life would be to look through Florida and weed out corruption and prosecute it, instead of just letting people carry on if they get caught? Would you consider something like that?
Of course. Why not? Somebody that would overlook everybody. And, if you're out of line because we think, or we have facts that you're getting money to do certain things against the people, against our Constitution, there should be consequences. Nobody's above the law. Nobody. No matter if you're a judge, if you're chief of police, if you're a legislator, no matter. Nobody should be above the law. Why?
Right. Well, we have the state's attorney general, but the problem is some of the stuff doesn't make it to the state's attorney general because it stays at lower level. You have people that cover up for the nefarious acts of somebody else in their lower level, so that corruption doesn't make it upstairs. So that's what I mean by a team that just spends their whole life going through the system of Florida and making sure that everybody from county on up maintains an on the level performance, and that we avoid the corruption that is taking place in Florida.
That's a great idea. That's a really good idea.
Yeah. All right. The next one I got here is, thank you, specifically about the off-grid living. Personally, I have my property set up where we're hooked up to electric, but we don't have to be. I have the systems in place where I could actually disconnect from all utilities, and my property could be self-contained. But if I do that, then I'm facing a $200,000 fine.
Why is that?
because apparently somebody in Florida thinks it's not a good idea for people to live off grid, and that was what I was going to ask you about. What would be your thought on people being able to support and self-sustain without the influence of utilities and corporate organizations?
Amazing. Let them be. If they can do it, like yourself, why not? Why do you have to pay these corporations hundreds of money, thousands of money a year, if you can do it without, if you can sustain yourself? I don't get the point. That's ridiculous, and that comes to the monopoly that's happening in Florida with the utilities. With our electricity, with
Right.
with many of our utilities that they're monopolized. There's just a few companies that are in control of the entire Florida. And that's bad. We can't have that.
Right. And the problem is that if you are in a position where you have solar and you have generator capacity and you do those type of things, right now you have to plug those in to the grid. You have to
Mm-hmm.
plug into the county utility so that if you forget, if you can't pay your bill, whatever, they can shut your system off, including your solar. So they
Yeah,
can guarantee that you will not have electricity if you don't pay a bill that you don't have to pay to begin with because you could support yourself. But
that's
that's
right.
just one of those things that gets me, I think, needs to be looked into.
100%. And I've talked about it to a couple of my friends and a couple of the people that I've been talking. And yeah, we have to look we only have down here in Florida, we only have one utility, company for electricity down in South Florida at least. Or I don't know
Yeah, that's
if,
Florida
you know,
Southern.
huh?
It's Florida Southern or something like that.
Oh,
Is that what the name of it is?
FPL.
Okay, FPL. Yeah, we have Gulf Power up here, and they were supposed
Yeah.
to merge with Florida Southern. So FPL must be further south than Florida Southern.
Yes. Yeah.
But
It's a little bit
definitely,
south, and they're the ones that control. They're the only company down here, and if anybody messes with them, they hit hard, very hard.
right.
So nobody
Yeah.
nobody wants to touch them, and they think
And
they're
if
unstoppable,
you try,
and that's not right. Nobody should
right.
be upset. Nobody should be above the law.
And if you try to confront them, then the first thing they do is jack up the utility rates by about 15%.
Correct. Correct.
That's happened up here. They were challenged because of the changes that they were making up here locally where I live.
Mhm.
So that next year they jacked up the utility rates 15%, and I guess our county officials backed off at that point, and that's way too much control.
Yeah, because they're like, okay, you're gonna mess with us. Check this out. They start charging everybody, just how you said, 15%, and they have to back down because they're the only company we rely on. So we have to
Right.
fix that. That has to
Same
be
thing
fixed.
happened in the 70s. We had AT&T that was a monopoly. Right now the entire infrastructure in this country is still owned by AT&T, but because of the agreement that was made in the 70s, they were forced to wholesale their service to other companies so that other companies could retail it. And it it's kind of like a backdoor monopoly because they're still the monopoly. They own everything, but they're forced to
Yeah.
wholesale to competitors so that they feel like they have an opportunity to compete. But
Well, for
there's a lot of
companies, for our electric companies, what we can do, hey, if you don't want to cooperate with us, we can just tell other companies from other states to come down here, open up shop, and we'll allow them to, give out electricity to our Floridians. And they might charge, if they charge us, they will probably charge us less, and they'll have competition. That could be a possibility as well. If they want to play hardball, there's ways to play hardball too. But there just have to be somebody to be able to play with them. And
I like
there's
that. I like the way you think on that.
yeah,
I agree. If we bring competition in, it tends to equal the playing field.
of
Right
course.
now, there is none. Um, all right. Now this is pure me. This is something I've been thinking of, and I wanted to throw it past you to see what you think of it. In the uh, in the national election, we have an electoral college, and that
Mm.
is designed to make the people of lesser populated states equal to the people of heavy
Yeah.
population.
That's
And
correct.
what I'm seeing around the country now is big metropolitan centers are making decisions for entire states based on their population. Um, what I'm thinking is, what do you think about something in that category of an electoral college used as a state thing based per county, so that if a county has 100,000 in it,
Okay.
or like Miami has several million in it,
Yes.
that the not red flag, the electoral college would work the same way. Each county would have an equal part in the decision making on an item that's up for vote, instead of one population center controlling an entire state just because they have the larger number. What
That's
do you
great.
think of something like that?
That's very good. That's great. Why should bigger, bigger cities have a saying over other cities that have lesser population? No. Let's equal playing field. That sounds good. That sounds good to me. I don't see why
Well,
that
it's
wouldn't that would be a bad thing.
well, I've I thought about it for a while. I wouldn't even know how to introduce that into legislation. I don't know that it would necessarily be called a electoral college, because there's obviously already a title for that in the national presidential election, but it would be, I don't know what you would call it. It would
Yeah,
be
that
part of separatism.
yeah, we'll have to find I have to look into it more. I haven't thought about that one, so I have to look into it more, and we'll see. We'll see what we can do with that. But that's a great idea that you had. Super idea. That's very good.
Okay.
I like it.
Um, Thank you. That's why New York City controls the whole state. Yeah, New York City controls the whole state in the same situation, because one urban center with a massive population can make all the decisions for all the people, regardless of the size of their county or their city.
Yeah,
And that's the
that's
whole
great.
point of doing that. Um, Let me. I'm just looking through to see if I
And
missed anything in the chat, real quick.
it will happen
Where
here.
does he? Okay, I'm sorry.
That it can happen here as well. Miami's the biggest, the most populous city in the state, and Orlando. Then we have what either is it
Jacksonville, I think.
Jacksonville. So those cities are the ones that pretty much control what happens in Florida.
Right. Um, Miss Margot Dahlgren, one of my followers here, says, how does he stand on prayer in schools, or AKA a pledge allegiance?
Well,
Where
I
do you
actually
stand on this?
great question. I actually went to Tallahassee 2 weeks ago, or was it a week ago? About a week or 2 weeks ago, and we went for one of the reasons we went. I went with the Christian Coalition, and one of the reasons was to introduce back prayer and to introduce back the Bible in our schools as an elective subject. So pretty much now kids will be able to have the as an elective if they want to choose to study the Bible, they will have that elective there in the schools. And we also there was also a motion and a bill that is going to be presented for 2 minutes of silence in the schools before school starts, which I think it's great. And why not prayer? Why not?
I agree. At least with the 2 minutes of silence, regardless of your religious belief, then you have an unintrusive moment to yourself to pray up, to be ready for the day's activities. So yeah, I agree with that. I also, um, I know for a while they were allowing people to wear hijabs in school, but then they would get on another kid for wearing a ball cap.
Yeah,
And
or cross too.
right, yeah, they'd make them put the cross in their shirt. I don't agree with any of that. I think
No,
that
at all.
there's nothing that should interfere with somebody's religion, because that's a personal thing, and we
That's
shouldn't
correct.
have any
And
interference in it.
also with the Pledge of Allegiance, there's also another bill that will enforce the Pledge of Allegiance in our schools, and I'm 100% with that. That's one of the things that I
Awesome.
kept saying throughout my campaign. how in our schools we've taken away pretty much everything from our kids. We've taken away, the Pledge of Allegiance because they don't need to stand up anymore or actually say the Pledge of Allegiance. They're taking away God, the respect of parents. They're leaving pretty much these kids without anything, and then you complain why they go out and grab a gun and shoot up a place because they don't have anything
Right.
to rely on. They don't have any beliefs. They don't have anything, and that's one of the biggest reasons that I'm for bringing back religion, bringing back prayer, our Pledge of Allegiance. 100%, you have to pledge to our flag and to our country. It's super important.
If you don't care about the country, you're not willing to stand up for it when it's in need. So I agree with that
That's
totally.
correct. That's correct.
I myself am a disabled American veteran. I served in the Army for 3 years and got my back broken in 11 places, and they thanked me for my service and kicked me out. Where do you stand on veterans issues in Florida? I mean, we're a pretty good state to veterans to begin
Yeah.
with, but do
But
you
I
see
think we
room
can
for
do better.
improvement?
We can do better, and I want to say thank you for your service.
I'm just
And we
glad to
can
do
do.
my small part.
Where I work, there is a VA very close by, and actually, I always encounter vets. I always thank them for their service. And the other day, I was talking to one as we were leaving. He was also leaving, and I was asking him, how are they treating you there? How's the treatment? And we were talking about the policies that Trump has put out with that they can go to anywhere and get treated, that they don't have to just see a VA doctor, they can go to any other clinic and still
Right.
seen. And then he was telling me how the VA that he was going, that did that he they didn't have a lot of the equipment that they needed for him to get treated, so he had to go to the one further away, like 30 something miles away, to be able to
Right.
get treated. So I think that every VA clinic should have the necessary tools, the necessary equipments, no matter where they are, to treat for whatever cost the veteran needs. I don't think they should be. You're a vet, you're a disabled vet, and you're gonna have to go 30 something, 40 something miles away from home so you can get treated. That I don't think that's fair. So
Right. Well, the issue with the veteran facilities, like the one up here in Pensacola, they are completely equipped. They have all of the equipment that they need to perform the tasks that they need to do. They don't have any manpower to run the equipment. They
wow,
can't get doctors. They can't get psychiatrists. You know, part of the problem is the labor union or the union,
you,
union that oversees the veterans. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I should have had that. But um, Florida is a right to work state, which means unions are not supposed to settle in and be able to take control of employment blocks.
not at all.
Part of the problem with the VA is the union. So, how do you get around a union for the Veterans Administration in a state that's called a right to work state? Because that could answer a lot of the questions about hiring doctors and doing the things that we need.
Yeah, I don't think the unions should get involved, especially with the veterans at all. I don't think that's right. You know, if our veterans are in need, we have to provide them with their services. So we have to find a plan to get people hired in the VA. They have to, as a business, because you have to run it as a business as well. You have to put out something that people will get attracted to. That we can attract doctors, that we can attract nurses to the VA, mental health practitioners. So
Right.
yeah, and that's
Okay.
that's
Well,
another thing. Mental illness, mental health. Uh, Actually, a quick side story. Back in 2011, when I started college, I entered at Switchboard Miami. It's a hotline, and it
mhm,
was a hotline for vets, for anyone who needed to speak with somebody because they were either thinking of suicide or harming themselves. And I got to speak to a lot of the vets back in the day, back then, and that's something I've always kept, that we need to do more for our veterans when it comes to mental illness and provide them with better services with when it comes
right.
to mental issues. 100%.
Okay, well, one program that I had been trying to figure out how to get started up here in my local area, I want to make it a nationwide thing ultimately. The biggest problem with the mental health in the veterans system is you have an emergency number, and
Hmm?
most of the time when you call that emergency number, it's your call is very important to us. Please leave a name and number or hold the line,
Horrible.
and we'll get back to you. Well, that moment when somebody's in a down dark place, the first thing they think to myself is, oh hell, they don't even care. So
Exactly.
I'm,
That's
hang up the phone
that,
and they're
you're right.
gone.
You're
So what
exactly
I'm proposing is, when that number is dialed, instead of going to a voice service, it would immediately go to a cell phone of a veteran that lives locally in that area. Because most of the time, when somebody's in a dark place, they need to be removed from that dark place, regardless if they go to the hospital or not. But another veteran can swoop in, grab them up, say, let's go out and get something to drink, let's talk about it. But what I'm hoping to do is to set it up so that when somebody dials an emergency hotline, there's a list of veterans that are in that immediate area. And instead of going to a message system, it would go to the first cell phone number. And if that one didn't pick up, it would go to the second one. There would never be a time when the phone wasn't answered to that veteran, with somebody willing to go at any time, day or night, pick them up from the house, do whatever they have to do to get their mind off of it, and even stay with them until they can be admitted into a facility to help them if necessary.
Oh,
So,
that sounds fantastic. And they don't even have to be all veterans. Maybe if people are
right,
willing to volunteer, mental health practitioners that want to have help more, they could even
right.
you go through a training, and then you get your number on that list. And whenever somebody it's calling a veteran, whoop, it pops on your phone, and you pick up. And just how you
That's
said,
the
there will be somebody always
unfortunately
on the
that
line.
yeah, that's the roadblock that I'm running into, is they're saying, well, you have to be a psychiatric professional in order to do this. But my goal is not to give counseling to the veteran,
Oh,
but you go to their house, another veteran picking up a veteran, there's a camaraderie already there.
correct.
There's a brother and sisterhood. So just getting them out of the house, even if you take them to another
Yes.
professional, psychiatric professional, I'm trying to get beyond that part where anybody can get that veteran, just get them out of that dark place. And then it can slow down a little bit and take a minute. We'll go ahead and find you somebody that you can talk to professionally or whatever.
Kind of like a
So,
sponsor in the
yeah,
Alcoholic Anonymous, you know, kind of like that. You
exactly.
call them, hey, I'm thinking of drinking, and then they'll talk to you, or they'll go where you are, something like that.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
that would be something, even if you and I worked on something like that together, if we can get you into the seat and work on something and maybe do a pilot program for the state, see
of
how
course.
it works, that would be awesome. But so
I'm a
anyway,
clinical social worker, so you already have a mental health professional doing it.
well, that's awesome. That was where I was going with this next section. You see how I worked it so that all the questions kind of come into the work to the next one. I did read your bio. I've read up a lot about you and things that you've done, and appreciate your service too. You've done a lot for Florida already. Um, the the child programs that are in Florida for foster care,
Hmm,
you work a lot in that. Um, there are some issues still with this program. Corruption runs into every government program, and
right.
the foster care system is one of them. What is it that you have done, and what would you do going forward to help our children in the state?
Well, first, the problem that I've been running to is that there are too many kids and few either social workers or very few people that to actually help the kids get relocated back to a home. So what's happening is a lot of these kids are just getting sent to houses that they don't have no idea if maybe the kid speaks English, and they're getting sent to a all speaking Spanish household, or vice versa. And when the kid gets there, he's like, wow, I don't understand anything they're saying. I've never been here. I didn't want to come here because the person that was supposed to, like the social worker or the case manager, didn't have the time to take the kid first as they should and see the house, see the family if the kid wants to be in the house. So a kid, once he's in the house, then he decides to, what, I'm just gonna run away. And many of these kids run away, and either they get caught by the cops and get sent back to the program where I used to work, or they get, there's a statistic out there that after 48 hours of a kid running, escaping from a house, there's, I believe it's 1 out of 3 or 2 out of 3 get kidnapped to human trafficking for sex labor.
Right.
So that's something that we have to look at, because here in Florida, human trafficking, we're the third in the nation with calls. We're one of the highest in human trafficking. So that happening here in Florida, and you have these kids running around, running from homes, and you have all these human traffickers going around. So there's something that we have to do there. Either create more openings for social workers, decrease the amount of caseloads that the social workers or case managers have without hurting their salaries, which it won't be that difficult. And that's one of my propositions. Or you can also have less kids, pretty much less kids per case manager. And the other thing that I've looked at is that after 18, once the kids are 18 and they're still in the program, they just get kicked out. They don't have any. We don't have a back support after you get out of the foster care system and you're 18 years old. That's it. You're on your own. So we have to either have houses. I think Desantis is working on this, our governor, to have houses that these kids can go, and either they can stay there, pay very little or pay nothing for about up to a year. Or this is my proposition, up to a year. You get back on your feet. You start. You either go to a training school, you get certified in something, and you start working. And by the time a year comes, you should be able to sustain yourself and go live on your own. I think that's the best thing to do. You're helping these kids out because you're not throwing them out on the streets. And that's one of the reasons we have so many homeless youth, and that we need to actually help them. So yeah,
I agree totally. One of the things that I have an issue with through the Children and Family Services is they are a little predatory. When I was bringing up my family, we barely had 2 nickels to rub together most of our existence. And there's a predatory nature with the Children and Family Services towards people with low income, and they threaten the families a lot with removing the children until you can get on your feet, and then you never see your kids again. I mean, there's a lot of this up here in Santa Rosa County. Our Children and Family Services is one of the most predatory operations in our government that I've ever seen, and just because we didn't have money, we got our food stamps that we needed, which helped an awful lot. Sometimes we would go for a month without electricity, and they didn't like that. They said it was endangering the kids, but we had everything we needed: food, water, whatever.
yeah,
So there's just this threat. If you have a low income, if you don't have an income, you have this constant threat of the Children and Family Services coming to swoop your kids up and put them into foster care, when the reality is that nobody is going to raise your kid better than the way you can raise your kid. And that's the mentality that we're trying to get across to the Children and Family Services. They got to stop trying to remove kids and start trying to help the family get through whatever downtime they're dealing with, or bad period, and
instead
move
of
forward.
actually go and agitating the family, they should go and provide services to that family. Tell them, hey, there's a couple of work programs that we can get you, or something that you can move out from the dark place. So instead of actually agitating the family, you should help them. But they're
Right.
not.
It's an undue stress. It's
Yeah,
unnecessary.
it's very sad.
But I want to see, does anybody in the chat right now have any questions for Mr. Pedro about what you might like to see in Florida.
Any changes? Anything that you guys want to see our state change or keep?
Well,
Because
I'll
now
I'll
it's kind of
watch the
that
chat.
way.
I'll throw another question at you while I'm watching the chat. But the the sugar, big sugar in Florida is a they are a dangerous entity, and their byproducts and their runoffs that they create are really damaging the Everglades. I know that
Okay.
DeSantis has done something like 15 billion to go towards Everglade restoration,
Yes, that's correct.
but okay, so where do we go from here? What is your thought on fixing the deal with the big sugar corporations or conglomerates, and also maintaining the beauty of Florida?
I am 100% in protecting the Everglades. That's our national treasure. That's we there's nowhere in the country that we can find anything like the Everglades. So we have to protect it at whatever the cost may be. I believe they're building a reservoir up in Central Florida.
Reservoir, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I've heard of that. Are they moving
So
along with that then?
I believe or either that's the plan or they're already working on it, because what happening is instead of all the dirty water going out back into our ocean, it's going there, and that's what was happening before when we had all this toxic algae and the red algae. It was because it was coming out from there from the Everglades.
Right.
And Florida, we're
Yeah,
known
it's a
for our waters.
toxic mix.
If we don't have
Right.
clean water, why are people? That's I believe it hurt us a lot. Like we lost like $12 billion in 2012 when we had the big red sea or
Right.
the red algae. We lost a lot of money and the business is hurt because people come to Florida for the beaches, for the sun, to have fun. And when you have waters like that and that you can't get in the water, it hurts us tremendously. So we have to for
Right.
sure end this water crisis 100%.
Right. And this last year we experienced something that we had never experienced before because of the perfect cocktail that was mixed by all the stuff that's being dumped in our waters. We had a thing called blue tide, and that is some nasty stuff. That killed everything that was in the
Yeah.
water that it went through. That we got to figure that out because blue tide is nastier than red tide, and that was our first year experiencing that.
You know how you mentioned to have an electoral college of type of what is it, like pretty much a couple of people that know what they're doing and going everywhere around the state. Well, I want to have the
Right.
same for our oceans, for our waters. Have a group of people that have lived their entire lives, worked their entire lives in either oceanography, marine biology, that they know what to do or how the best people that we can get, and put them to
Right.
work to find solutions for water crisis and to stop this blue tie, red tie, all these ties from
Right.
happening and controlling them, because we're we're losing a lot of our environment down here in the Everglades and throughout Florida,
Right.
hurting us. It's
Um,
hurting.
I did get a question. I believe it was from Fight and Defend on my chat here. He says, "What is your thought about illegals obtaining driver's licenses?"
Illegals obtaining driver's licenses. Well, how can if you're illegal? How can you obtain a driver? I don't think that's.
No.
I mean, would you rather have them drive without a license or have them? At least you have some documentation, so they won't be that illegal if they have documentation, because you
Well,
you have to have some type of documentation to get a driver's license. So I'd rather have them get a driver's license and get their papers done. At that point, depending on how many years they've been here, because I've known people. I worked a lot of times. I've met like people that have been here 19 years and they're still working to get papers, and they pay taxes. They they've been here, but they don't have documentations for some reason. I'm like, how are you driving without a license? You've been here for 19 years. Your kids were born here. Why are you not getting this done? And that's something that we have to fix for sure here in Florida.
Well, I think part of the question behind the driver's license, personal experience, when I went to Turkey, I had to apply for a driver's license. It wasn't that I was applying to become a citizen of Turkey. It was that I had to prove that I was capable of driving in country, and I had my license was equivalent to basically a tourist driver's license since I was a long-term resident. Okay. But I think the concern is that once the driver's licenses are handed out, then they're also used for that ID that's been able to allow illegals to vote in these elections.
Yeah, no. So back to it. If you're gonna get a driver's license, you should be legal. I don't think no illegal should have any driver's license. So if you're gonna get a driver's license that you're illegal, you should not be able to get it unless you have all your documentation. So that's what I was saying, that to be able to get a driver's license, you should have all your documentations ready, or you could documentations put in place. So nobody should, because that's the same license that you can go ahead and get a gun as an illegal and commit crimes. And nobody will, because you're illegal, they don't have any paperwork. So I don't think that's a good idea. Unless you have your paperwork done, go ahead and get your license. And just like you said, for the elections too.
Yeah, when I was working the same topic here, that like I was talking about earlier, the work programs, the work visas. If you can show that you have a work visa and that you are coming into the country for the purpose of work, and then you return to your home country or whatever, then I think Florida should have a program in place for driver's licenses for temporary workers, just like I had to go through in Turkey. But I think on that driver's license, there should be an absolute visible exemption. This is not an ID intended for voting rights, but I don't know how to get
rights, any rights, pretty much. Yeah.
Right.
Except for the purpose of
driving. It allows you to drive.
Yeah. Kind of like
so
you get a permit that it says, not. I believe if you're under 21, you can drink until the age of 21 or until this certain date. You could have that there.
I wanted to go back to one more thing here, and then I want to have you take the last few minutes to close out with whatever you want to close out with. My last question to you is directly related to military. We've recently had bills that have come forward that are basically raising the age to smoke and the age to buy a gun.
That wasn't the red flag laws.
Right. In both circumstances, that means that in my case, I joined the day I turned 18 when I joined the military. That means that I can go and I can fire and handle some of the most expensive and unique equipment in the world and every weapon known to man. But then if I come home,
you can't get a gun, get a smoke.
Right.
Makes no sense.
If you can die for your country, you should be able to smoke one up too. Right. I smoked all the way through basic training and everything. I smoked through my career. So something's got to give on that. There needs to be an exemption in place. How do you feel about that? What would you propose?
I agree. We should first, the red flag laws need to get, out of here. We don't want red flag laws in Florida. We want our, if you're 18 years old, that's how it used to be. You could buy either a shotgun or a rifle. Right. Why not? Why not? If you're sending 18-year-olds to die for this country, to fight for this country, I don't understand why at home they can't buy a gun. And a handgun later on at 21, that's how the law used to be. Well, they raised it with the red flag laws. I think is ridiculous. I am not for it. And that's one of the biggest reasons I don't like the red flag laws, because it increase the age of buying a gun, which I think it's totally ridiculous. And also smoking. Hey, if you want to smoke at 18, you're already an adult. you should know, you should know better if you want to smoke or not. If you want to smoke, go ahead, but don't. The government should not interfere like that in our lives at all.
That is the best line that you have said so far, period. Top best line so far. The government should not interfere with what an individual wants to do.
Yeah.
All right, sir. I want to let you have the floor here. I want you to go ahead and tell my listeners anything you want to leave them with, and also the future people that will be watching this after it's been posted. The floor is yours.
No, I just want to thank you very, very much for this opportunity. And I'm here to fight for our rights. I'm here to fight for Florida, for our Constitution, for our freedoms, for our liberties. I'm not going to let anybody take advantage of us because we have a lot of people that say something and they go up there to Tallahassee or even Washington and they pretty much sell us out. They go with the first corporation or organization and gives them the most money and they sell us out and then they go against our constitution, our liberties, our freedom, and I'm not for that. I'm here just like I told the other day when I met Anthony Sabatini that he's a true conservative Republican. I told him I want to be, you're this type of state representative, somebody that fights for the people, that puts up, he's putting up for open carry, the we don't need licenses anymore, campus carry, so things of that sort. I'm gonna be here for the people and fight for the people. And one another thing, our educational system. There has to be an end to this indoctrination of our children by the communists and the socialists in our schools. And the easiest way to do it is pretty much, if you want to keep doing this, we're gonna cut you off the monetary from the government because these schools are receiving money from us, high school, elementaries, colleges. If you're gonna keep doing what you're doing right now, that pretty much indoctrinating our children, just how they try to do the same with me in grad school. They were talking about how we should adopt the Cuban healthcare system. That was a PhD professor in grad school, and I stood up and I was like, "How are you telling me, a Cuban, that we should adopt, like the Cuban healthcare system when people are dying daily in Cuba because there's nothing, and it's incredible how they're teaching our children." I posted up a video today. One of my little cousins, he's an 11th year old, and one of his homework is to watch 10 minutes of CNN every single day. What do you think of that? 10 minutes of CNN as an 11-year-old every single day. That's pretty much propaganda. That's what they used to do to me in Cuba. They made us watch the round table. That's how it's called. It's where the communists sit around and just say propaganda things, say good things about communism and socialism. It's the same thing I'm seeing here today in our state of Florida and probably throughout the United States. So we have to stop that. For our elderly, one of my propositions is to a lot of the elderly that I've come across, they're retired, over 65, citizens of the United States, worked here for the majority of their lives, and their taxes of their homes are increasing so much that they can't pay anymore for their house, and they have to go to other programs because they can't afford anymore their houses. So I think after 65 years old, you've worked here, you're a U.S. citizen, you're retired, you should not pay any more house taxes until the day you die. And once you die, either if your family wants to keep the house, they either pay back the amounts of taxes that they that the family member did not pay for that amount, or you lose the house. But at least we're keeping these older generation in their homes, the homes that they've worked for and they kept throughout their lives. But now because they can't pay anymore, it's not fair that you keep rising their taxes and they don't work anymore. How are they supposed to, pay $3,000 when they're only making $1,500 a month? It doesn't make sense to me.
I like that. That's another good idea.
No, it's ridiculous, and these people have worked the entire lives. Also, I've heard that a lot of people that are coming to this country getting help, food stamps, they're getting 700 and something dollars a month, and many of our people that have worked here are only getting 100 and something dollars a month.
Right.
So How does that even make sense? So that's another thing
It's
that we have.
crazy.
Yeah, it is. So that's another thing that we have to look at. And when it comes to the economy, thanks to our president, Donald J. Trump, our economy couldn't be better. And for Florida, I just want to make it, business friendly. I want more business to come to Florida to know that here you have a home to build a business. So I want to put less regulations to businesses to open up. If you worked hard enough and you have the money, we should not make it hard for you to open your own business. Now, we will not, we'll have less regulations for you to open a business, but once we go and check, where either the fire department or the health department goes and check your business, you better be on point because you're gonna get very high fines because we allow you to open up businesses without so many regulations. So things like that,
Right.
I wanna open up Florida for, because we live. For me, Florida is the greatest state in the nation. We're the stronghold of the nation. We're the really true red state, and if we lose Florida, we're done. We're literally done.
Right.
Just like it's happening in Virginia, with you go with a Democrat governor, the Senate is Democrat, the Congress is Democrat. So the first thing they do, want to take away their guns. So it doesn't make sense. We have to protect our liberties, and we have to protect our rights. That's 100%, and that's why I'm here, putting the people first, the Florida. And
Awesome.
I have many more things that you guys can check out on my website at pedrobarrios.org, and you can shoot me
a link below.
yeah, you can shoot me a text through there. Messages me. I respond. I'm very open. I'm very transparent. I'm here, to help the people. I'm not here to go up to Tallahassee and start filling up my pockets with money because I don't need that. My family, thanks to God and this country, we worked very hard for us to be well off, and I'm pursuing this. I'm not a politician. I'm doing this because I see my country need, and I don't think anybody else, at least running in my seat, has what it takes to go up there and fight the true alligators in Tallahassee, because they're no longer in the Everglades. They're up there in
Right.
Tallahassee wearing suits and ties, and telling us lies, as I say.
Right. All right. Well, with that being said, we have tipped over our hour, but that's
Wow.
okay. I wanted to make sure we could get everything in as much as possible. Can't thank you enough for joining me here tonight. I'm hoping that we can give you as much exposure and help as possible to get you over the line. And anything I can do in the future, I want to be able to do. You have my number.
No, of course.
your
And if
link.
you want to, 100%, I'm down to come back in here. It's wonderful. I love, the questions. I like the environment. I like to get to, I want my people from Florida all over, not only in my district, but all over Florida, to know that they can count on me to go up there to Tallahassee and do them right, not to cheat them
Awesome.
like unfortunately, many of these rhino Republicans have done to us, because we already know the left where they are. The Democrats, we know what they're doing. What
Right.
scares me is the Republicans to say something and do different. So here you have somebody you can count on. That's 100%.
Well, I believe that, and that's why I'm having you on my show, because I got a chance to talk to you up there in Virginia, and I'm pretty good judge of character. I've been that way my whole life, and I believe from what we said to each other and the exchange back and forth up there, I knew that you were the one I need to be helping to get things done. So that's what I'm going to do. I do want to have you back as often as you want to come. You just let me know. We'll set it up, and
You let me
closer
know.
you get to the election.
I'll always make space for you. You guys are great.
All right. Awesome. All right, sir. With that being said, thank you so much, and you have a great night, and we will talk to you soon.
You too. Enjoy the real show, Super Bowl tonight, with our President Donald Trump talking to Congress. And
yep, it'll be awesome. Thank you.
Yes, sir. God bless.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Pedro Barrios. That was an incredible interview. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I enjoyed you guys hanging out with me. I didn't address individuals in my chat tonight. I apologize for that, but I did. I saw that you were there, and I'm truly grateful. So, my mods, appreciate you guys. You kept the house in order. The questions were great tonight. Thanks for the interaction with that. And with that being said, y'all, I need to get out of here. I think I'm stepping all over Pete the Patriot. So get on over there and see him tonight. And until next time, y'all, stay in the fight.